Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te ngākau o ngā tangata. Ko te mea nui, ko te aroha, tihei, mauri ora. Ngā mihi nui ki a ranganui, rau ko papatūnuku, tēnā korua. Ki ngā tina mate e haere ki te pō. Haere, haere, haere atu rā. Te whare e tū nei, tēnā koe. Ki ngā tangata e hui hui mai nei, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko auraki te maunga tapu, ko wanaka te roto tapu. Ko te erenga o kahukura tōku kura no Ōtautahi o. Ko Claire rawa ko Tony o mātua, ko Frankie tōku teina, ko Millie Palmer tōku whānau, ko Millie tōku ingoa. Microplastics. Microplastics are small pieces of plastic less than 5 millimeters in length that occur in the environment as a consequence of plastic pollution. They are so small they cannot be seen by the naked eye, but they're actually a huge problem, one that grows every day. Microplastics are intertwined in every aspect of our lives. They derive from larger plastics, plastic bags, bottles, and packaging, from cosmetics, from car tyres, from fishing equipment, and from our very own clothing. Because they're so small, microplastics are highly mobile and easily ingested. They are so small they can be carried in evaporating water droplets, only to be deposited back to Earth in a new and remote place. They are so small we eat them every day without even realising. The average person eats 5 grams of microplastics a week, the equivalent to the size of a credit card. 260 grams of plastic a year. That's up to 40 plastic bags. They have now been found everywhere, in the air and in the water, at the peak of Mount Everest and in the deepest part of the ocean, in the Mariana Trench. The Earth is now engulfed in microplastics. Microplastics have been found lodged in the digestive tracts and tissues of marine and bird species, causing neurological and reproductive damage and a reduced will to eat. Microplastics are in our heart, lungs, blood, placenta, and breast milk too. Although the research on how they affect us is limited, studies show that they can be associated with poisoning, infertility, and genetic disruption. Te toto o te tangata he kai, te oranga o te tangata he whenua. While food provides the blood in our veins, our health is drawn from the land. When the land is unhealthy, we will be too. I was in year 10, struggling to decide on a science fair project to choose before the holidays when I found out about microplastics. As I was trying to find a potential project, I had one thing clear in my mind. I wanted my project to be focused on finding solutions, and solutions that were sustainable too. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with gloom-ridden news and saddening statistics, I wanted to provide hope. Microplastics represent a relatively new field with limited research and even more limited solutions. It was the perfect place to look for that hope. After doing some research into the huge microplastics problem, I came across the claim that 35% of microplastics in the ocean are derived from laundry waste. Small microplastic fibres fall off our clothes during the washing process and make their way out to the ocean. As many as 700,000 fibres can be released in a single wash. Although all of our clothes release fibres to some extent, it's the fibres that are derived from plastic materials that cause the most concern. Fibres such as polyester, nylon and acrylic are made with petrochemicals and easily shed these plastic fibres. At this point, it became very clear to me where I had to start looking for solutions: washing machines. If I could prevent this 35% of total ocean microplastics from reaching the ocean, I could make a huge impact. I could provide hope amongst the severity of the problem. There are already a few filtration solutions out there, but none of them use sustainable materials. It seemed obvious to me that if I was going to develop a filter to capture plastic, it in itself could not be made of plastic too, as that would surely only contribute to the problem further. So, the first part of my project was born. I called it Microplastics Macro Problem. I went about testing which sustainable materials best filtered gross microplastics from water. I used bamboo cloth, wood pulp, coconut husk, and felted and natural wool as filter materials. I ran repeated tests using gross microplastics in the form of 0.2 to 0.5 millimetre pieces of glitter. After a few hiccups, I was able to draw to the conclusion that wool seemed to be a very effective filter. This got me super excited. Wool seemed like the perfect solution, a local product available in abundance, sustainable, fully biodegradable and affordable. An item that does not add to the microplastics load in our environment, but instead has the potential to empower New Zealand as being ahead of the microplastics game. My findings made me eager to find out more to validate these results and explore this potential further. Could this be a part of a solution to an emerging crisis of our modern age? So stage 2 of the project began. This time, I wanted to dig deeper and trial a wool filter in a real-world setting. I wanted to more accurately measure how well a wool filter would perform in comparison to a commercial filter. I thought this would give me a good measure of how well the filter was performing, as the commercial filter claimed to capture 98% of microplastic fibres. I ran the standardised loads through several different filters and then measured how many fibres escaped the filter. This gave me a good measure of how effective each filter was. With the help of the Institute of Environmental Science and Research, ESR, I was able to analyse the captured microplastic fibres using powerful microscopes and a Perkin-Elmer spectrometer. This device allowed me to analyse the chemical composition of the fibres so that I could confirm that they had derived from the laundry waste. After a long and thorough analytic process, I was finally able to draw some conclusions. They were not what I expected to find. The first finding was that both the wool and the commercial filter were able to filter 99% of microplastics. This was a great result. However, it came with a downside. Although the filters were able to capture the microplastics from the laundry load, each filter released its own fibres too. For the commercial filter, which was made with polyester filter material, this was a major problem. The filter was capturing microplastics, yes, but it was also releasing heaps of its own microplastics, causing more harm than good. Although the wool filter released fibres too, they were simply pieces of wool, which are biodegradable and don't pose a harm to the environment or the health of humans and animals. So now what? My next steps for this project are getting a product ready for commercial availability. Wool is such an amazing product that is so available to us in the New Zealand context. If we could install wool filters like this, we could prevent millions and millions of microplastic fibres from ever reaching the ocean, the water cycle, and therefore from remote places around the globe. We could put New Zealand on the map as being ahead of the game in the field of microplastics and help to cultivate hope and positive change within our communities. This started as a school project, and it's turned into a passion, but something that has stayed the whole way through was the goal I had in mind: to provide hope. In a world full of negative news and saddening statistics, I wanted to give people the reason to believe they have the power to make a difference. Michelle Obama once said, "You will not always have a comfortable life, and you will not be able to solve all the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own." Thank you.